He sees your messages, but doesn't reply. He calls when it's convenient, not when you need him. He shows up only when he wants something, then disappears just as fast. And yet, you're still there, waiting, hoping, wondering what more you can do to finally be valued the way you deserve. You've been giving and giving, your time, your energy, your emotions, and still, you're not enough for him to stay. Not enough for him to try. Not enough for him to choose you the way you've chosen him. But here's the truth no one tells you. You're not unlovable. He's just incapable. And if he can't see the value in what you offer, it's time to stop offering it. Because a man who doesn't value you doesn't deserve your presence, your vulnerability, or your loyalty. And the most powerful move you can make right now is detachment. Not the kind that's cold and bitter. Not the kind that pretends, but the kind that heals, that reclaims, that says, I'm done pouring into someone who only leaves me empty. Detachment isn't about stopping your feelings. It's about stopping the bleeding. It's about realizing that you've been giving CPR to a connection that's been dead for a long time, and now it's costing you your peace. Detachment is the moment you choose silence over begging, distance over chasing, dignity over desperation. And yes, it will hurt. Because detachment is not about avoiding pain. It's about walking through it with your head high, knowing that on the other side is your freedom. But you can't detach until you admit the truth. He doesn't value you, not in his actions, not in his consistency, not in the way he shows up when it matters. And deep down, you've known this. You've felt the emptiness in his words, the hollowness in his presence, the way you have to explain your worth over and over, like he just can't see it unless you perform for it. But high-value women don't perform. They don't chase validation. They don't beg for recognition. They walk. When the energy isn't matched, when the love isn't real, when the connection isn't safe. The first step to detachment is facing the grief. Because letting go of someone who never truly held you is confusing. It feels like you're losing something, but really, you're losing the illusion. The fantasy you built in your mind of who he could be, of what you thought it could become. And fantasies are harder to release than people, because they gave you hope. And now, letting go feels like failure. But it's not. It's freedom. Detaching means you stop asking why he changed. You stop wondering why he treats you like an option. You stop looking for closure in a man who can't even hold a conversation when it's uncomfortable. You stop explaining your worth to someone who doesn't value women, but collects them. You reclaim your power in silence. You begin by removing your energy, not to punish him, but to protect yourself. You stop texting first. You stop checking his stories. You stop waiting for him to finally show up the way you dreamed he would. Because he won't. And every second you spend hoping he will is a second you betray yourself. You've already shown him who you are. And if that wasn't enough, no version of you ever will be. Because it was never about your value. It was about his blindness. And you're not here to make the blind see. You're here to be seen, fully, clearly, unapologetically. And if he can't do that, then don't waste another second proving anything. A man who values you doesn't leave you confused. He doesn't disappear when you need him most. He doesn't breadcrumb you to keep you close while giving you nothing real. He doesn't make you question if you're enough. He makes it clear every single day that he chooses you, not just with words, but with effort. So stop accepting the bare minimum. Stop translating his silence into mystery. Stop romanticizing his inconsistency as emotional complexity. Stop making excuses for why he can't be better. The truth? He just doesn't want to be better. For you. And that's all you need to know. Detachment starts when you stop bargaining with reality. When you stop saying, maybe if I just love him harder. No, you've already loved him too hard, too long. Now it's time to love yourself harder. It starts with discipline, the discipline to delete his number. Not because you hate him, but because you love yourself more. The discipline to sit with the discomfort instead of numbing it by texting him again. The discipline to cry without reopening the wound. The discipline to stay silent when your ego wants to remind him of everything he lost. You don't need to remind him. Your absence will do that for you. And when he finally notices your silence, when he realizes you're not chasing anymore, he'll reach out. But that's not the moment to feel flattered. That's the test. The moment you have to choose your healing over his attention. The moment you prove to yourself that you are no longer available for half love, for halfway effort, for half of anything. Because you deserve the whole thing. Detachment is hard because it forces you to sit with your own wounds, to ask, why did I stay so long? Why did I accept so little? Why did I believe that if I just gave more, he'd finally love me? And the answer is painful. Because you were taught that love requires sacrifice, that being chosen means being perfect, that your worth is measured by how much you can endure. But not anymore. Now you're learning that your worth is not tied to his opinion. That rejection is redirection. That silence is self-respect. That walking away is not a weakness. It's a woman remembering who the hell she is. Detachment is a daily choice. Every time you feel the urge to reach out, choose silence. Every time you replay the good memories, remind yourself how those memories felt when they were followed by neglect. Every time you miss him, remind yourself, you don't miss him, you miss the version of him that never really existed. Because the real him, the one who didn't show up, who didn't try, who left you questioning your value, that man is not worthy of your love, your tears, your time. You're not losing him. You're losing the weight he placed on your spirit. And as that weight lifts, you'll start to remember your power. You'll start to laugh again. Not because you forgot, but because you're free. You'll start to glow again. Not because he came back, but because you finally let him go. You'll start to attract better. Not because you changed for someone else, but because you remembered you never needed to in the first place. This is your time to rise, to rebuild, to reconnect with the version of you that existed before the heartbreak. The one who knew her value, who didn't chase, who didn't beg, who didn't shrink for love. The woman who was whole on her own. That version of you is still here, underneath the pain, underneath the hope, underneath the heartbreak. She's waiting for you to come home, and detachment is the door. Walk through it.